We're a funeral home that cares. We are here to take care of you from the beginning until the end. When we get that first call from a family or family members, we do our best to be professional, caring, considerate. It's not about what you can offer us, but it's about what we can offer you. Fountain Funeral Home is a Black, faith-based professional service that offers service to people during their time of loss. And our motto here at Fountain is we serve families with compassion, dignity, and respect. God started Fountain. If you would have asked me before 2005, would I ever be doing this or would I be a funeral director, I would say, oh no, you got to be crazy. And that's why I know that God did this. He started Fountain. You never know what God has for you in your life. He never shows you the whole picture. Because if He would have, before 2005, and I even said it in 2005, oh Lord, no, no Lord. But what I did ask God, when He showed me in little ways of what He wanted me to do, I said, Lord, I said, if this is what you want me to do, I want you to make it so plain. And if you make it plain that, and so I won't make any mistakes, I will walk therein. And that's what I did. Again, how did Fountain start? I went to work for this mortgage company, and at the beginning of each day we would have staff meetings at this mortgage company, and during one staff meeting one morning, the owner, he discussed about what companies funded what companies that this mortgage company financed, and they financed funeral homes. And when they said that, something just like jumped in my spirit. I was like, And so immediately after the staff meeting, I went up to the owner and I was like, what are you doing tomorrow? And he was like, nothing. And I said, well, I want you to go out on a business walk with me. And the reason why the way I learned about business walks was from New York Life. So the next morning, as normal routine, we had a staff meeting. After the staff meeting, I asked the owner if he was ready to go on a business walk, and he said yes. And he says, Gayle, where are we going? I was like, you'll see. So what we did was we left, and I drove up to Clark Funeral Home. When I pulled up in the driveway, the mortgage owner of the company that I worked for, he was like, Gayle, what are you doing? I was like, I do not know. I said, didn't you say that company financed funeral homes? And he was like, yes. I was like, okay, let's go. So we got out of the car and we went in. I introduced myself to the Clark staff, and I asked them if Mr. Clark was in. He was not. And they asked me how could they help me, and I asked them, was he interested in selling their funeral home? When I said that, they looked at me, and I was like, well, would you please have him give me a call when he gets back? After we got out of the funeral home, the mortgage owner and myself, he was like, Gayle, I was like, didn't you say that company financed funeral homes? He says, what are you doing? I says, I don't know. I says, all I do know is that in the African American community in Muskegon, we need more choices for a funeral home. So after we left, we rode around. I says, I don't think we're going to get anywhere with them. So we rode around, and we ended up at another funeral home. We walked in, we did the same. I introduced myself to the funeral director, and it seemed just like it was yesterday. I walked in, introduced myself to the funeral director, and I told him, or asked him the same question that I did at Clark's. And I asked him, I said, I would just like to know if you're interested in selling your funeral home. And he looked at me and he put his hands behind his back and he smiled. And I was like, what are you smiling about? He says, because Gayle, by the way we are. I was like, you gotta be kidding. And he was like, no. He says, we're not the owners. He says, we used to be. He says, let me give the owner a call. And so he did, and the owner was Mr. John Seitzma. After Mr. John Seitzma, he told him that he would like to see me. He didn't have much time because he had a service, but he would like to see me, and then we could set up an appointment later on. So we immediately went to the funeral home where John was at, and we introduced ourselves to each other, and then we set up another meeting. At that second meeting, I immediately told John, I said, John, I said, before we go any further, I just want to let you know something. I said, so I won't get my hopes up high, and so I won't be wasting your time. I said, I don't know if you've ever heard anything about workman's comp cases. I said, but I end up injuring myself. I said, and I could no longer do the work that I used to do. And I said, when I went through the process of going through things in my life during that time with the process of my case, I said I couldn't work. I said, so I didn't have any income, so I couldn't pay my bills. So that tarnished my credit. And I said, I don't have any money. I said, before I got injured, I said I could buy anything I wanted, do anything I wanted, go anywhere I wanted to go. I say, but that became a problem once I hurt myself. And so John, he looked at me and he says, Gayle, because of your heart and your motive, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to help you. And when John said that, I was like, wow. Tears, they just flowed down my face, and I was like, this must be God. And John's exact words were, it's got to be. John suggested that I take classes, which I did, and after I took my prerequisites classes, I transferred my credits to Worsham Mortuary College in Wheeling, Illinois, the northwest suburbs of Chicago, and that's where I got my degree as a funeral director, and that's how Fountain Funeral Home started. A lot of people don't know that I had a fire here in 2012. That was a hard year. That was a very hard year, and I really went through trials. I'll never forget, it was a nice hot day. My staff and I, we had just left for today, and after I left, I had got a call for a removal. So I called a staff member to go do the removal. They went and did the removal. They took the deceased downstairs, and then they left, and then I got another call. And they came back. The staff member was coming back to get the removal van to go do the other removal. As they pulled into the parking lot, they saw the firemen here, and they were about to break the door down, and they immediately stopped them. My staff member immediately called me. I'll never forget the day I was screaming and I was hollering. I was telling them to get the gentleman out of the prep room, to get him out. They was like, Gayle, we can't. I was like, get him out now, please. We can't have him hurt because his family is there. His family is going to be so upset. And I was like crying and screaming all on my way on my way to the funeral home. As I got here, I was trying to sneak through the back, but the firemen, I don't know, I guess I was going to be Superwoman or someone and go downstairs through the back door, but the firemen wouldn't let me in. After everything was settled, the person, they weren't injured, we got them out, and I immediately had to close my doors. Rumors had went around in Muskegon that I was closed, that my business was done, but it wasn't. I was just going through a trial. It was a trial. I lost a lot of families because of the rumor that I was closed. When we got a few families that after we got it out over the radio that we weren't closed, then I didn't have anywhere here in Muskegon where I could do what I have to do, visitations and for a funeral home for visitations or my prep work. So I had to go back and forth to Grand Rapids. And by the way, I have expanded my services to Grand Rapids. So that was a long year. I was shut down for almost a year. So that hurt us drastically. But God, He saw that after the fire that things started picking back up for me, my families, regardless of what people said, that families started coming back to me. It was a learning experience, a very humbling experience, but God let me know through it all, even through those trials, He still brought us through. What helped me to push on is the same one that started it all, God. When I was in Chicago, when I went to mortuary school, it was very hard for me there. People, they look at us now and they see our facility, they see our vehicles, they see the way we conduct ourselves, they see the way we try to be as professionally as possible. We still ask people, what could we do more to improve ourselves? And I want you all to know that we are never going to get so complacent that we think that we're it. You should never, a business or a person should never get to the point where they think that they are irreplaceable or that they're so good that there is no room for improvement. That's not us, that's not Fountain, and that's not me. But what helps me to move on, when I say move on, is I remember my days in Chicago when I was in mortuary school. I had no one to support me. Sometimes I didn't even have anything to eat. But God. Oh, wow, but God. I remember one time I had came home for the weekend and a lady had ran a stop sign and hit me. And I re-injured the injury that I received at work when I was working in the factory. And so I had to deal with the pain, and I had to study and make sure that I continued to go to classes in school just like nothing had happened. And my instructors at worship, they were very supportive. They were very supportive. My classmates that we worked as a group, they were very supportive. But one day, because of the accident that I had suffered when I came back home here in Muskegon, one weekend, my instructor told me that I should go home until I felt better because I was dragging my leg because I was in so much pain. So I went home. So I went home, but I still studied at home. And I had started getting depressed. So I started to cry, and I got up out of the bed, and I got on my knees, and I looked up to God. I said, Lord, I know you did this. It's not if you did. I know you did. And since you did, why is it so hard, Lord? I said, I feel just like John on the island of Patmos. And the Lord, He said to me, to my surprise, and He said, not in an audible voice, but in my spirit, immediately, He said, and just like John Gayle, I showed John a lot of things that I didn't tell other people. He said, so it showed a lot of other people. So He said, get up off your knees, because I'm not going to join you in that pity party. And I immediately got up off my knees and continued to do my homework. And then the next day I was just riding around in Wheeling. And as I was riding around, the Lord came into my spirit again, and He says, Gayle, He said, the reason why I'm allowing you to go through these trials is because when you get back home, you're going to go through more difficult trials than now. I'm like, Lord, I was like, I'm going through, you know what I'm going through now. He said, just remember this. So now, since I'm back here in Muskegon and in Grand Rapids, when things go wrong or people criticize me, when I try to do my best to improve our facility, or I try to do my best for my families, and a lot of times I get criticized because families have instructed me what to do, and then when I tell people what the families instruct me to do, I get criticized, but it bothers me, and then it doesn't, because I do what I'm supposed to do. I would just like to say that the families that I have served, not I, but we, the staff, the team, it's not all about me. It's about our families. And when I say our families, we, the staff here at Fountain Funeral Home, would just like for you to let us know. Again, I'm reinstating, let us know what we can do better to serve our community and to serve our families. We offer pre-need. We also, if you have a pre-arrangement elsewhere, some families have came here and asked, can that be done? If you can come here, and I say, yes, we can do that as well. We offer counseling, aftercare counseling. I can direct you to someone. Whatever we can do. We also now I work with a company that can help families that don't have the funds to help them with the service, so it can make it easier on them. We here at Fountain would like to know what we can do to make the transition go smoother here for you. After the service is over, whether it be interment, memorial, or any type of service, you can feel free to come here a year or 6 months from now, like a lot of people do, and just come and sit down and talk about your loved one to me or members of my staff. Think about the past of what you went through or how the service went. You can come here and critique me or give me constructive criticism on what we could do better. I accept that wholeheartedly because I want to make a difference in the community. My name is Gayle Pollard, and I am the funeral director and the sole owner of Fountain Funeral Home. And our motto here at Fountain is we serve families with compassion, dignity, and respect. God bless you.